welcome to the 68th episode of the Carscast Moviecast. Jeff, I have a quick question. What chemical compound causes pain in muscles after exercise?
That's lactic acid.
Nice.
Yay!
We just applaud for the next hour.
Yeah.
The episode.
Yeah. I think that the applause was too loud, so I don't think the mic picked up any of it.
Okay.
So I didn't hear any of the applause.
Well, you saw it.
You saw it. Today we have a special guest. Nice mug.
The mug!
Nice mug.
The cover his face.
That's our special guest, yeah. It is Jeff on a mug. Today we have my best friend, sorry Jeff, and
Not off to a great start.
roommate of 2 years now.
2 years.
Jaxi Alegria.
Oh my god, you got my name right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Were you practicing?
This is take 17
Yep.
of that, actually.
Yeah, good to be here. Want to
Good,
say,
it is also
anything?
good to be here.
All right.
I have nothing to say.
All right,
I have nothing to
cool.
say.
Yeah, she's probably the last friend we've had on the podcast. Like we've run down the list, and Jaxi's the only one that hasn't been here yet.
Yeah, I've been
But,
holding out for episode 69.
First-
And you really,
Yeah.
you cut me off.
We
one
dropped
short.
the ball on that one, yeah. But yeah, how's everybody's week been?
Jaxi?
Okay, well we moved this week.
We moved this week.
That was a big thing.
Which was annoying.
Yeah, you're no longer in your parents' house.
Yeah, this is a different
Yeah.
background.
I'm his parent.
Yep.
Who moved out of my house.
As of like 2 minutes ago, this whole room was like pink and purple, and then both Jeff and Jaxi told me to not.
It
do
looked
that.
very sexual.
I mean, it didn't look sexual. It looked cool, you know.
It looked cool a little bit, but like a little bit sexual, but also it like completely
Well, you know what?
would blow out your faces. So like on camera, it didn't really make sense.
For 69th, we have a light for that episode. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a custom Zoom background.
Yeah.
Of just your living room.
Just, yeah. I'll get a picture
But
of my
I'll
old...
just like tint it purple as well.
Yeah, I started Twitch streaming. So, good for
Yeah,
me,
I watched
right?
like 15 minutes of it.
Which 15 minutes was it, Jeff? Do you remember what
I don't know. The issue I had is that I turned it on and then immediately the screen froze, but the audio didn't freeze, so I didn't really see you. 'Cause I was
Carson can
watching
just
it
throw
on
his
my
voice.
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one in the comments mentioned that, so I think that was just a me problem. I was looking at the comments. I'm like, does anyone else like have this issue? So I think that was just me. So I think your Twitch stream was good.
Okay, cool.
You were
Yeah.
just answering like questions and stuff.
Yep, that's what it is.
You
Yeah.
never got to my question.
What was your question?
If I could make popcorn in the kitchen or if it would...
Oh, if it would just...
You ignore that one.
Yeah.
I didn't make popcorn.
Someone asked what camera we shot rhubarb on, and I didn't know. So I rallied that question off to... Not rallied. Relayed that question off to Nick.
Okay,
And,
let me guess. It was the Amira.
No, it was a Sony FS7. For anybody.
Oh wait, was this through DePaul?
Yeah.
Okay, because if it wasn't through DePaul, that would have been hilarious if you shot it on a camera that would cost that much.
Yeah, no. Well, now we're in
Carson's
that.
got money.
Yeah. Jesus. Okay.
Stop
yeah,
checking
we're
it.
not...
Bad vibes.
Something...
Carson's mom just died. Bad vibes. Turn it off.
Wow. Anyways. Yeah, that's the highlight of my week was Twitch streaming. Besides moving into a new apartment.
Yeah, we
I
just
guess
moved
we
into
just...
an amazing
I feel
environment.
like that feels a little bigger.
Moving was awful. We hired movers this time because the last time I moved it was miserable. So, and it was a little bit better, but we have two other roommates, John and Joey, who didn't hire movers.
And we had to pick up their slack.
Yeah, so I paid to still move.
Because when last time I moved, I didn't hire movers, and it was just me and Scott, who both of us both know, and it was a bit bad idea.
Yeah, so that's what's
So
moving
movers
is
definitely
not
the
fun.
move. That was
Oh.
that's a
Not really on
Carscast
purpose.
zinger.
Jeff is sponsored
right
by
there.
movers.
yeah, sponsored by someone.
Um,
No one. Actually, I'm not sponsored by anyone.
Jeff couldn't think of
But
a
I do
single
like
moving
just
company.
plugging stamps.com in my everyday life. I just tell people to buy stamps.
yeah. Okay. On that note, how's it going, Jeff, in Florida? Can we get an update? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I don't go anywhere because Florida has
Right.
like 3% of like the worldwide coronavirus cases in the last week. So I don't do anything.
You don't do much, no. But
are you coming
punch
back?
my hand, which is really bad for audio.
Are you coming back?
Yeah, I'm coming back at some point in the next month.
Whoa.
Ooh, for good? Jeff,
no, because I have to get all my stuff to leave because I have no reason to pay rent in Chicago right now.
Understood.
Oh, you're
so
staying
you're
in Florida.
not coming back.
Yeah, like I'm saying I might come back to Chicago at some point, but I don't
Okay.
have a reason currently.
So I shouldn't build a podcast studio, is what you're saying, because we're.
Oh no, I'll commute every week.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just get into the movie then. That we'll talk.
Yeah, I mean that's fine with me.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Today we're talking about "It's Such a Beautiful Day," directed by Don Hertzfeldt. It is an animated film from 2011. I want to say. I don't know.
Say whatever you want. It's your podcast.
So I mean, I think I looked it up, and it actually was like 3 shorts that were put together to form a feature.
Ooh.
So,
was it actually?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I think one was from 2006, one was from like 2008, and then one was 2011. And then they put it together and released it as a feature in 2012.
Carson just took 4 tries to spell beautiful.
Also, how big is your monitor?
It's pretty big.
It's like the sun.
Yeah.
It's big.
It's pretty big. This movie is an hour long. It's very short.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see I was thinking of what a synopsis for this would be. It says, "It's Such a Beautiful Day" is an experimental dark comedy drama animated film directed, written, animated, and produced by Don Hertzfeldt. Okay, so it doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Direct.
I would say
Wow,
it's about
look at
a guy named Bill and his experience with
failing memory and weird visions.
Brain tumors.
Yeah. And
it's about like mortality. I'm curious to hear what you thought, Jeff.
Yeah. Thing is, here's what I was thinking, because Jeff and I have, believe it or not, we have talked about serious films before. We did talk, like, the first time when I was watching this, I remembered, like, our Synecdoche, New York discussion, where we didn't really talk about anything. So I was like, okay, we'll try to talk about something today. So I'm curious, Jeff, like, what you thought, because I'll say this.
Yeah. Okay.
Taking a breath into talking.
Before we get into Jeff's thoughts, like, because Jaxi, you recommended this movie to me.
Yeah, it's been my favorite movie for like 6 years.
Hence why Jaxi's on this episode. So I watched it, and the first thing I said was like I had a horrible time watching it, because it's just a very like kind of visually sensory demanding film. I would say.
I feel like on surface level it's very depressing, but if you dig past that, I think it's actually like a very hopeful, optimistic movie.
Yeah, which we'll get into. But yeah, so my point is I had a bad time watching it at first, but I loved it. So Jeff, how was your experience watching this movie?
Yeah, so I think...
No, before you say that. I'm kidding, please, just go.
The problem is that like the topic is like not funny,
it's not funny
so it's just
at all.
like such an awkward transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I agree with Jaxi in that like superficially, like the first half of the film kind of feels like you're being dragged into this very dark film.
Yeah.
And then the way it is kind of tied up, in the end, it kind of feels like a hopeful film. Like the experience when I left it was very different than halfway through it.
Yeah. That's the thing. When I first watched it, like, felt the opposite, and that's why what we talked about when I brought it up to you. Like, I thought it was such a sarcastic ending, kind of, because this movie is so miserable. Like, it feels at one point... I realized this, like, the second time around. I don't know if any of you ever watched Louis C.K.'s show, Louis, but it's, like, it's just comprised of a bunch of, like, bad... like awful things that happen to people, and it kind of reminded me of that,
like meeting Louis.
Like meeting Louis C.K. Yeah. But yeah, so this felt at one point like a compilation of just miserable things. So for it to end on that note just felt like Don Hertzfeldt making fun of the idea that things are okay and everything's nice, but maybe I was just in a bad headspace.
Yeah, I actually completely disagree with almost everything you said.
Yeah, me too.
Louis C.K. never made any shows.
Talking about films work. Yeah, there was a very narrow window to watch that show.
What?
Oh, Louis?
Louis?
Louis C. Yeah, Louis. It's like you had like the couple years after it came out, and then if you watch.
Well, I was really into it in high school, and then I went to college.
Let's. So we're gonna move forward from that point.
Yeah.
As Carson's manager, I think it's best we just move forward. So you mentioned the last sequence where. Can I do spoilers on here? Is that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna say like right up. Well, yeah.
Do you guys do spoilers?
Yeah, I think this type of film you can't really talk about it unless you talk about it as a whole. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, spoiler alert. I'm about to spoil a bunch of it.
It's a very sarcastic feeling. Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert, whatever that means.
Idiots.
The whole last segment is Bill falls asleep in a field and he's saying how beautiful the day is, and then the screen goes black and basically the narrator goes, no, he doesn't die here, he doesn't die here. And then it's like a 15-minute sequence where it just talks about how he doesn't die, he lives forever. He goes through like 10 wives, he sees the end of the earth, he sees the next people to take over Earth and inhabit Earth. And I think that is just like a really... Sorry, you're getting so many texts right now.
Yeah, I know. All from... Never mind.
It's not about how the story would be happier if he could live forever. I actually think that the most depressing part of the movie is the last segment where he does live forever. Because you were saying how it felt like he was making fun of how he could live forever. I think it's... or how everything will be okay. But it actually, like, the whole movie thematically is about how the end of life is what gives life meaning, and how random and how horrible it can be, and how beautiful all of that is. And how if you do live forever and you don't have an end and you just experience things and you experience everything, then nothing really has any meaning.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. See, and I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. But I think what I was reading it as is that throughout the movie, and there's a specific thing that he says in that last segment that I think gave me this idea, was when he was like, he'll go on to learn more things than anybody out there, but the idea of like death will still be completely like mysterious and unknown, and he'll never grasp onto it.
Yeah, I think that's so profoundly sad.
Yeah, exactly. It left me like super depressed, and I was like, what it's trying to say is like, yeah, that's all beautiful, but at the end of the day, it's like pretty meaningless.
Well,
like you can like, sure, it's. I think I don't disagree that it's super optimistic and beautiful in how it says like, yeah, like living, acknowledging what's around you is super beautiful, but it's also making a point of like everything around you is also miserable, and it's at the end of the day like nothing can take away from like the ending of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the last part of the film where he's living forever is giving you like the alternative to death.
Yeah,
it's saying like, yeah, best case scenario, like because people don't want to die, and it's like, yeah, but if you do live forever, like this is what your existence is.
Yeah,
and
it's
I
depressing.
think the way it's framed, it's depressing, and it's not a good alternative to death. Like that's because people don't really think through what not dying is. You just are like, as a human, you're like, I don't want to die.
Yeah.
And I think that, yeah, as Jaxi said, my interpretation was also that death is kind of what gives the rest of life meaning, because there is this, impending time sensitivity to everything.
Yeah.
And I think that the last sequence was kind of not making fun of, but like showing the audience why the character has to die, because when the narrator goes like, oh, he doesn't die here, does he? You can't die, wake up, like that whole sequence, it's like he's acting as the audience, which is obviously like, as someone who watched it and fell in love with the character and wanted him to keep on living, I obviously was like, don't die, but then he shows you why he has to die and why it's beautiful that he dies in reality. And the fake ending is that he lives forever, and that is actually way sadder than the real ending.
Yeah. So I guess, no, hey, listen, no. So I've always agreed with that. Yeah. So I still think it like leaves me like equally as hopeful and in a good mood as it does a bad mood.
Yeah.
Because I leave it feeling like even like the good shit that I do is meaningless. But I agree with everything you said at the same time. So I don't know. But yeah.
I think that also part of what makes the actual ending of him dying there feel like not as sad is that he has this period of clarity before that, where it kind of like wraps up this natural kind of life that he had in a way where it's not like just confusing and then he just dies arbitrarily. Like it feels like it is like a nice ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene with his dad made me cry. I have daddy issues though, so I don't know if you guys cried.
Yeah. Glad we talked about the ending first before anything else.
I don't know.
I don't know where to go from here. I will say, like, what my thing with Don Hertzfeldt is, like, this was the first I'd seen like Rejected because that was like a viral YouTube video. So I guess I can kind of count that, but this was like the first time I like paid attention to his work. And after this, I've gone like down a spiral of watching his other shorts and World of Tomorrow and all of that.
So good.
All so good.
Also,
besides one of them. But
his
yeah.
Twitter bio is 2-time Oscar loser is the funniest
Yeah.
bit. It's the funniest bit.
But like, I really like, after watching all of his other stuff, I'm like, I wonder if like It's Such a Beautiful Day will hit the same upon a second watch, having now seen what he's done. And it hits so much harder because it's such a culmination of all the ideas he's done. Because that is what I love about it. Like some of the smaller bits and pieces that happen, like the leaf blower scene.
Such a good scene.
Like that is a Don Hertzfeldt short in itself. And for him to just have all these different ideas work in unison to do this stronger idea, it just works a lot better. But I had no idea this was 3 shorts originally, so I guess that makes sense.
But every time it says part 1, part 2, part 3.
Yeah, that's a different. Interesting. But yeah.
Jeff knew that.
Jeff knew that apparently.
Yeah, I googled the film before it came on. It's called Preparation.
This is the most unprepared I've been in a while, for the record.
You put your fancy shirt on.
I put my fancy shirt on. Yeah.
Step 1.
Changed the lighting. I will say, yeah. Going into this a second time also, I forgot how funny it was.
It's so funny.
Like, especially watching in a group setting.
Yeah.
Because we watched it, me, Jaxi, and John Oppenheimer. Episode 4. Anybody remembers. But we turned it on.
Long-time fans.
There were immediate, like, we were laughing pretty consistently for like 5 minutes. And then there was just like such a strong cutoff. And there were still funny bits.
I feel like that's something that Don Hertzfeldt does really well.
Yeah.
He's ride the line. He knows when to be funny and when...
He's really good at transitioning you into that. Like going from something funny to something darker.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in comedy you need seriousness. Otherwise, the funny won't be earned, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I would say like 70% of the things I watch are comedy just because I do comedy.
Yeah.
So that's all I really am interested in. The way you look at me.
Really? Yeah.
So I think that the comedy hits harder because it's darker, and I feel like things that are just trying to be funny for the sake of being funny don't really hit as hard.
Yeah. This film is also just so disturbing sometimes, and I realize a lot of that is the live action footage with the like cartoon footage. There's the one of the guy who like froze in the iceberg.
The Iceman.
The Iceman, yeah. And it's like this still like drawing of him. And, like, I don't know how he did the effect. Like, the water running over. It looks like he's in an iceberg. And it's so disturbing. Like, seeing, like a drawing, but, like, in a real iceberg. It felt like a real person.
Yeah, the art style's amazing.
Yeah.
The whole animation is really good. For a long time, I've wanted to get my first tattoo be a still of it. But I can't decide which one
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys should put a poll up on the Instagram. You guys can decide
comment below the video with what still the tattoo.
Everyone call me directly. My number is... I'm not going to do that. I'm not doing that at all.
Yeah.
I say your number.
Like, wait. Yeah, I was gonna get into the art style. It is so good. Like, everything is so perfect. There's the one of, and we could just list off examples for the rest of the podcast, but there's the one where the uncle, I forget like what relative it is, but it's the guy who shits berries.
Oh,
remember?
He's like the great uncle, long lost
Yeah,
great uncle.
yeah. Which is such a good part of the movie. I love that part. And he grows the sunflower out of his head when he dies, and then he like thinks about the moon, and the moon pops up on the outside of the circle that he's in. And I don't know why it's so visually satisfying and works really well with the actual narrative.
And when it transitions to like live action after he gets the final diagnosis that he is gonna die, when it switched to like actual live action with animation like flickering over it, he's,
like the car and
lucid for the first time, and he like sees the beauty of everything for the first time, is like
it's
so good.
I was thinking, because with that, like the sound design of this movie is also so good. That's something I realized. It's like, I was like, would this work if you like closed your eyes? And it would to a certain extent, but the visuals are such a heavy part of it.
Yeah, I feel like you need the...
Definitely need
yeah, because it wouldn't be a good podcast.
Yeah, no. Carson's like,
I'm
is this a podcast?
I'm going to make a call right now.
Yeah.
Carson listens to it when he's in the shower. He sings along.
My hour-long showers. Yeah, I don't know. I just think he, like we've been saying, he blended the live action with the animation and just like humanized a stick figure so well. Like I saw the personality in every character. Even when he was like flashing through the different stick figures saying how they all look the same because they do look the same. I was like, somehow he does something where they all feel, I don't know.
Very real. Like,
yeah,
totally.
But yeah.
What did you think, Jeff, of the art style?
Loved it.
Just running out of things to say.
It's a tough podcast, you know.
Google only
so
has
they
so much.
did hand drawing apparently. I still am trying to figure out, besides like the obvious reason, like, because there's a cutoff when it switches from the circles, you know, like when he's like boxed in like the black background and stuff. I want to say like after the first, I guess they're separate short films, but like after chapter 1, it stops doing the circle thing to a certain extent. Like at least like the background isn't black anymore.
I have seen the movie probably more than 30 times, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm
I
sorry.
just like I remember like
I know what you're talking about. I don't know if that is when the cutoff is.
Yeah,
but I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I just like I'm trying to find why that was a choice, but now that I know that they're 3 separate shorts, I guess maybe.
Yeah, that might have been the choice.
That might have been the choice. So
might have been the choice.
This is the most ambiguous conversation ever.
I think something that I really love about this movie is that Don Hertzfeldt is the voice, and he wrote it, and he did the animation.
Oh yeah, it's almost a one-man film. It's like him and an editor, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's very few... I can't think of a single other artist who makes films like that. Like, he puts so much of his own self into it.
And I think that's, like, crucial to how well it works at the end of the day. Because this is literally, like, a look into his mind and, like, how he... And I feel like bringing in anybody else would just either water it down or just not have the same effect.
Yeah, because it really is very interpretable to each different person. Because I feel like everyone I know who's watched this took different things away from it.
Right.
It feels very personal. How would you feel if instead they had a very famous person do the voice?
Like, who would you choose, Jeff?
Will Ferrell.
What if it was Will Arnett?
I want Sacha Baron Cohen to do it in a Borat voice. It becomes 10 times more depressing.
I think he switches back to his like normal voice at one point. Not Sacha Baron Cohen in Borat, but like Don Hertzfeldt. I think he's one of the doctors. I like very like when they're telling Bill to wake up. I thought I like heard a hint of his voice, but yeah. Anyways, I just
also like his last name is Hertzfeldt, and so it's like Hertz, and like you felt
it. Yeah. He's had this shit planned for years.
Jeff's notebook says only that in huge letters.
He's like, I guess now's the time to bring that out.
I didn't unplug this, did I? Oh, I totally did.
Oh, you did. Yeah, it happens all the time. You just gotta get it in the right... This is why we need an intern.
Wait, the intern would be in your room?
Yeah.
He's under the
we
desk
had him
right
under the
now.
bed. Like, get out.
You just see an arm reach up to plug it back in.
So guys, apply online if you want to be the intern and live under
Yeah,
Carson's
it's
bed.
the problem is I'm very against unpaid internships, but I also don't have any money.
Yeah. So we pay him in, I don't know.
It's school credit.
Yeah. There's not much else I can say about it. I could just list off scenes, but,
I feel like Jaxi has a lot more to say.
yeah, like, what did you... Okay, I want to hear, like, we usually do this when we have a guest on, and we have them pick their, like, favorite movie. Like, why would you say this is, like, your favorite movie, generally? I guess we've already touched on a little bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think the big part of it is that it hits comedy so well. Like I said, I watched a lot of comedy. And it also, I watched it for the first time at, like, a very... I don't want to say emo, because I feel like that detracts from what I'm trying to say. Don't make that face. See exactly what
I was just sniffing.
I love that when hat is backwards, it's serious, Carson. When hat is forward, it's goofy.
We're getting goofy, yeah. That's so funny.
I really... I don't know. I really like the comedy of it, and it also hit at a really emo time in my life when I felt very, like, nothing that I do matters, because it was, like, high school, and I was 16 and living alone, which was very weird, and, like, I don't know, like, very dark time, and it kind of gives you a perspective of, like, even this guy whose life objectively sucks, like,
yeah,
as a kid,
hilariously sucks.
And, yeah, it's so awesome how he got tumors. It's so funny.
Jeff did not think that was where's the joke?
Even this guy whose life is very dark and very troubled is at, like, once he realizes how soon his life is gonna end, he finds the beauty in everything and, like, very much appreciates everything, and, like, I don't know, to his very last second he lives his life to the fullest, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
I also, because you both being me and you, not you, I don't know, I worded it like that. We both just graduated college, like, a month ago.
Yeah.
And are transitioning our lives into, we wake up every day and we don't really have a thing to do. We just, like, we could do some chores, play some games, watch a movie, go to bed. So, like, the whole section about the monotony of life, and, like, I think the quote is, he thinks about all the monotonous things that he's wasted his time doing, and then he realizes that that is his life, and the like, the unusual parts are when he does things other than that.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel like hit a lot harder on this rewatch, because it is, like, what I've been thinking about. Like, what do you do? Like, now our life is ours, and we have to make choices for ourselves, and we have to, I don't know, like, appreciate the opportunities that we have. And it's also really hard because we're in a pandemic, and you can't really... It's really hard to see the beauty in things, especially right now. So I feel like this movie is very important. I don't know, thematically important, at least to me personally right now.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask, like, how it aged, because you saw it when you were younger, and now seeing it now, but I guess that answers that.
Yeah, plus I watch it every 72 hours. So.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
So then, in a way, this is part of the monotony of your life.
This podcast?
Hurts felt, dude.
Watching the film.
Dude, get that tattooed. We found it. Just get Don tattooed. Don.
No, I can't.
No. Yeah. I'm very curious to watch this a little bit later down the line. It's one of those that I think hits you differently depending when in your life you watch it. Because even now, like, I remember I watched it impulsively back in, I want to say, like, April, when I was having, like, an awful week. And it hit differently this time. Still, like, the same general idea, but yeah, that's what I like so much about it, is there are a lot of different ways to read into it where there isn't, like, a correct answer.
Yeah.
And the film acknowledges that even it doesn't know what the answer is here.
Totally. Yeah, I think it is really interesting because you did watch it, and you like texted me, and you You were sad. You were very sad.
It was a bad week,
yeah. So I feel like the movie kind of turns into, you project yourself onto it. It's kind of a mirror in the way that you watch it, and it becomes whatever you are experiencing internally at that moment, which I think is really interesting. Jeff, where are you in terms of existentialism, and do you feel like that?
Yeah,
Let's talk therapy.
I agree that I definitely felt the like life is the monotony. Yeah, because like I pretty much do the same thing every day, and I have for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
So, but relative to like the other parts of what you were talking about in this film, which that whole sentence I just said made no sense.
No, it made sense.
I blacked out for the whole thing, so no idea.
Yeah. It's just some words that felt kind of like they made sense if you put them together, but that doesn't mean anything.
DJ, play them back.
Yeah. But this film, I think, is interesting in that you can interpret it differently according to like your life and relative to where you currently are. But the actual intention of the meaning of the story, I felt like, was surprisingly straightforward, in that I had pretty much the exact same interpretation as Jaxi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, for a film where it can make you feel a variety of things depending on the state in which you're watching it, it's kind of amazing that he was able to draw like such a straightforward overall conclusion.
Yeah. That's a good point.
We probably read the same article.
The one that said Hertzfeld, right?
Yeah. That's the title of the note about it, is Hertzfeld.
I want to touch on this really quick. I won't spend too much time on it, but like a few of like my fans have like compared it to Synecdoche, New York a little bit, because they are both like trying to answer like death and stuff like that. And I think this one handles it a little bit better than Synecdoche, just because it's a lot tighter. It doesn't feel as ambiguous. And Synecdoche is more about like what happens after death. And I guess this is to a certain extent. But like this one, I think, focuses so much on like how you handle death when you're alive, or like in the moment, I feel like. I don't know.
Also where it's like impending.
Yeah.
Because obviously we all have this existential version of death where we know like we could die, but we're not expecting it soon. So this film obviously handles it in a way where he like knows that it's coming relatively soon, even though you still don't know the exact moment.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much Epicurus you guys have read. I don't want to sound like an asshole. Like, well, actually, Epicurus says, but Epicurus does say that death isn't something to be feared because is the essence of feeling, and whatever happens after that is the absence of feeling. It's not something that's painful or something that's negative. So it's something that's aggressively neutral. It's like the most neutral thing that could possibly be, because you are... Oh, I did it again. Can we get an intern?
Intern, come on. You can do that yourself, It's just, I don't know why.
I like it when you do it. So, what?
So just got a little match going on.
I kind
Carson's
of
swiping
like you were saying.
When we started doing video, like a lot of this stuff that now we just think about it as everyone sees the video, but the people who still just listen to the audio, a lot of this makes no sense.
I think it's fun.
It was like a minute straight of like you trying to plug in a headphone, and it's like, what is
I think the video's important. At least it was important enough that Carson had to raise his computer chair so he'd be taller than me on camera.
Yeah.
This is
where was that before? And anyways, so what were you saying about philosophy?
Yeah, so Epicurus is, I think, a really interesting philosopher if you guys are into philosophy at all, because I feel like he's one of the most misinterpreted philosophers of all time, because everyone thinks that... so his whole thing was like, happiness equals pleasure, and everything that you pursue in the search of happiness should be pleasurable things. And it's not pleasure as in like sex or anything. It's like pleasure as in like things that give you positive feelings. And the way that most people interpret that is that he was a drunk. He just liked getting drunk and liked having a bunch of sex, and he lived in a commune where they would just all... Can I talk about any of this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. They would just all fuck.
We're not getting monetized at all, so...
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Even how much I talk about stamps.com, they're still not giving us that money.
Like you were saying?
I was saying, and... I put my headphones
For
on.
the listeners at
Put my
home,
glasses on.
Jeff turned his hat backwards. Yeah.
Anyway, Epicurus is so pissed right now. He's like, oh, plug.
Every time he turned his hat backwards. Yeah.
Basically, what he is talking about is you have to avoid things that give you negative feeling, and that's why death isn't something to be afraid of, because while the process of dying can be painful and can be an unpleasurable experience, death itself is the lack of pleasure and the lack of pain. So in itself, at its core, it can't be a bad thing, which I think matches It's Such a Beautiful Day, what that movie is saying very closely. And that's why I really like both of them.
Yeah.
Kind of lost what I was saying at some point. I'm really
No,
distracted by that little curl.
No,
thing.
you brought it back. It made some sense.
Yeah.
It definitely, you know what, though? That does leave room for still fearing dying.
Yeah, well, don't be a
That
pussy,
sounds
Jeff.
unpleasant.
I have a quick question. Is that a new Carscast hat, Jeff?
Oh.
No, I just keep good care of the one.
I thought they were
I do
light
have 50
blue.
of them.
Okay.
This is light blue. It's just the lighting in here is a bit weird.
Oh, I was like,
It's
we don't
because
have beige
I have a light
hats.
panel off in the distance that I actually kind of just mixed
Oh.
colors, because there's like some tungsten here, there's some daylight. You know, Jaxi knows. She's a
I
professional.
know. Yeah, I'm professional.
Well, I
So I
have
just
these
kinda- I
pink
just
lights
kinda-
that are...
Guessed.
Okay.
I can't give my opinion. I'd have to charge you by the hour.
Intern, what do you think?
Yeah, IATSE's gonna watch this.
I get kicked out of my union.
Cool. Well, I think for now we'll leave it at that. But I will probably have a different way of looking at it the next time I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we feeling for a rating? Unless anyone has any last points.
5 stars.
So Jaxi, our rating is at a 5.
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna give it 5.
You already knew that. Although theoretically, you could have been like, no, 5 out of 6 stars.
Yeah. Oh.
5 out of 4.
Yeah.
5.
We're saying 5 out of 5.
I'm going 4.5.
Fuck you.
Wow, Jesus Christ.
Just to be,
Just to be different.
Just to be different.
Yeah. So what time of day are we thinking? We watched this. I think we all watched this in the mid-afternoon, which is a weird time, in my opinion, to watch this
totally.
movie. Last time I watched
it, gives you too
it,
much time after to reflect on it.
yeah. Last
feel
time I
like
watched it,
wanna
at
watch
like
this, think about it for like an hour, go to sleep.
yeah. By the way, Jeff, people want the time of day rating.
People want the time of day rating.
One person does. I got a comment, but I
feel like we shouldn't be subjecting every other person who listens. Wait,
Well,
unless
hey.
our listener count is like 3.
if you guys don't want it, you need to say something.
Right now.
Right
we'll
now.
wait.
Oh
Yeah,
wait,
everyone.
anything that you don't want, you have to tell us specifically. So someone be like, I don't want Carson to kiss the camera. It's like he's never done that, but like we don't know you don't want that unless you tell us.
yeah.
I think time of day, I would say night, but I would say night for a different reason than why Jeff said night, because I think that it's really important to watch this movie and then internally reflect about how you felt and what part of your life and your insecurities you projected on the movie, and talk to yourself about it. And watching it with people in the middle of the day, for the first time at least, kind of, I feel like, detracts from that a little bit, because you start... I feel like movies in general, I feel like this about movies in general, where if you watch it with someone, you have to give yourself 10 minutes to break it down in your head before you talk to anyone else, because people are so easily swayed by people's opinions. So especially this movie, I feel like you have to watch it and figure out what it means to you, and then you can talk about it with other people, and then I feel like the whole experience would be a lot more interesting, at least.
I
Absolutely.
agree, because there's been 1 or 2 times, really this is true with any film, but there's been 1 or 2 times I finished the film like the minute before we started recording this podcast, and I had formed no opinion about the film and then had to pretend to like talk about it for.
Yeah, it's happened a lot because Jeff is always like, and I think I've said this before. You're like, how about in like 53 minutes we start? I'm like, yeah, that's specific, but all right. So yeah, I guess that does it for the movie today. It's available on Vimeo on demand if anyone would like to support it and check it out.
Isn't it free?
No. Was it free for you?
I paid for it.
Yeah, I paid for it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Don
it used
made
to be
it free for... Oh, maybe he made it free when the lockdown started.
Oh,
for
really?
people to watch it, but I'm not sure if...
Because I started watching it when the lockdown started, and it was $12.
Sucker.
Sorry.
I'm pretty sure he made it free somewhere.
Nice. Well, with all that out of the way, let's get into questions.
All right, I'm going to change my rating to 5 stars.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
Now that he's had time to reflect on it, like we totally...
I had that. It's my 10 minutes from when I finished the film, and they just hit.
I don't do myself this time.
Okay, yeah.
I can't do
right,
it.
so-
Christ.
I have.
No, say it,
Okay,
Jeff.
well-
We.
Yeah, well, Jaxi can't hear me.
Okay,
I
yeah.
was going to say, for a quick discussion, do you want to talk about Jaxi's job?
Yeah. I guess we
Oh.
never really introduced Jaxi.
Yeah.
That's what I realized, too, because I'm like, she has an interesting job.
Yeah. Tell us about your job.
So, my job is I'm a lighting technician for film and television. So, I'm in IATSE 476, which is my local union in Chicago, which
Yep.
basically means I do union shows, which are like all the Dick Wolf NBC Chicago shows and like Fargo and Utopia and Shameless and all the big stuff that shoots in Chicago. That's kind of I run the cables and set the lights.
Yep. It's a cool job.
That's your current job, and it's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also do comedy.
Yeah, I am a stand-up comedian,
Yeah.
which is why I know so much about philosophy.
But yeah.
But I figured that was interesting for some of our listeners who sometimes are like, what's the industry like? And both of us are like, we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I do
You're
another
the most
episode
into
about
industry
industry
we
stuff if you guys want to do
Yeah,
that, whatever.
for sure.
I mean, yeah, if you want to give like a quick, thing about how you got into the industry.
Any advice for like younger people trying to?
Those are two very different questions.
Well, all
Combine them into one succinct answer.
All right, every other word will be an answer to each one of your questions. I guess in terms of how I got into it, I truly I can't pinpoint what happened or how it happened because it was very like I stumbled into a bunch of different things. Because I am pretty young for my union. I feel like the average age of my union is like mid-40s maybe. And I got in when I was 19. So it was just kind of a lot of like random happenstance. But in terms of like advice for people, the best advice that I can always give is ask people for help all the time and put yourself out there, and also be very straightforward about what you want to do, because I feel like a lot of people go to film school. We just graduated from film school. A lot of people go to film school and settle right away. They're like, they internally want to be a director, but they are afraid that they're not going to make it, or it's going to be too hard, or people are going to make fun of them for having dreams or whatever. That people have a lot of different insecurities, and they'll settle for like lighting or like editing or sound or something, which is a lot easier to get into. So I would say from day one, be honest about what you want to do and be straightforward about who you want help from, because people can't help you unless they know what you want. Because if I think of you as an editor, I'm never gonna like throw you cinematography jobs or like recommend you to direct anything, because I don't know that you want to do that. So you have to tell people what you want, otherwise people can't help you. That's my best advice.
Yep. That was, see, what I used to do is when I was making a project, I would ask you for help.
Just help in general.
Yeah, just help in general. Because you were the director of photography for the web series that I did with Dan White, who was also a guest, that Nahal, who was a guest, also worked on, and John Oppenheimer also worked on. So
we have a very small net of friends.
I had nothing to do with it, but
That was my only condition to work on it, is Carson has to stay the hell away.
I end up bringing in keychains and shit. Everybody's like, we don't need that. Yeah. I help with headphone jacks. That's my thing.
You're the intern of your own podcast.
That actually sounds like a nickname for Jaxi. Headphone jacks.
I think the best nickname I've ever gotten was Apple Jacks. It's absolutely my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
No one has
That's
ever topped
good.
it. That's a challenge to you two and
Jeff,
everyone listening.
Do you have any nicknames that people have given you?
Well, the thing is, obviously, Jeff is already a nickname. So
really
that's like
lame
the main
answer.
one. It's already one. It's already
Your full
one
name's
syllable.
like Thomas.
Call me Jeff for some reason. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, let's move on to questions. This first one comes from Max Fisher 22. It is, if you could replace any character in movie history with Nicolas Cage, who would you pick and why? I didn't tell you guys about this question beforehand.
No.
So I guess we
No,
gotta,
you didn't.
I didn't
That's a
think
tough
about
one.
an answer either.
Wait, so wait, it's if I could replace one movie character.
Yeah. Not like, well,
So the question is if I could just recast.
recast
someone
yeah,
as
let's say
Nick
that.
Cage.
Because Nick Cage in like Finding Nemo would make no sense because he can't swim. You know what I mean? I don't want to assume he can't. I didn't mean he can't swim. You just.
That's the worst like explanation of like the parameters of this that I've ever heard.
Serious.
So to answer this question seriously,
I don't like Nick Cage, I'll be honest. I'll say
No?
that right
Yeah,
now.
that's the
Well-
thing. I was gonna pick a movie that I hated because I don't want him to ruin a movie I like.
so I don't think he's a bad actor. What do you like?
I just think he's a bad swimmer.
We just watched Raising Arizona the other night, and I was reminded that it's probably the worst Coen Brothers movie. I don't know if you've seen it, Jeff, but it's
No, I just saw on Letterboxd John Oppenheimer wrote that he wished he was watching Fargo instead.
yeah, that is literally what my thoughts were. It literally is Fargo but worse. But I will stand by the fact that Nick Cage is pretty good in it. But I don't know.
I feel like The Room would be fun.
The Room would be fun.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
a good idea.
I like when he gets like if you've seen Mandy. No one here has seen Mandy.
I
It's
watched
like,
the first 20
he get-
minutes of it, but I was too high and very scared.
He gets crazy. I would. Oh my god, Uncut Gems. He would be so fun in Uncut Gems. Come, you didn't like Uncut Gems to
Okay,
begin
so-
with.
James, no.
Oh yeah.
Here's my idea. Just put Nick Cage in a Jackie Chan film instead of Jackie Chan.
So you're saying you would whitewash Jackie Chan with Nick Cage?
No, I'm not saying he would be Jackie Chan. It's not a film. I'm not saying put him in a film where Jackie
Yeah.
Chan. It's like not about like Asian culture.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, sure. Put
You know, I'm
Nick
changing my
Cage-
answer.
Put him at the beginning of not the beginning. Put him in It's Such a Beautiful Day.
As the narrator.
Yeah. Don Hertzfeldt kind of sounds like he's doing a Nick Cage impression in It's Such a Beautiful Day when you think about it.
I don't want to think about it.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with Uncut Gems. I
Nick
think
Cage
that
in
would be-
Space Jam.
Oh, that's a good answer.
That's pretty good. I was gonna say Nick Cage in Marriage Story.
He plays the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Dad.
the problem. I don't want to pick a film that's like really good.
I
This
think
would
he's
just
a
make it
great
worse.
actor. Has anyone here
I
seen
think
Adaptation?
he's fine.
No.
I just think that Nick Cage, who's like 60 years old in Marriage Story, wouldn't really make sense.
Yeah, I guess.
That'd be a weird film.
Yeah.
Carson Google's movies. I can't
I'm just going through my letterbox right now.
Let's just skip the question.
Yeah, let's skip the question.
Let's skip the question.
Well, we've never considered that an option.
It's a bad question. We can
We
move
always
on. That's
just
okay.
kind of trudge our way through these questions. This one comes
Because
from.
you pick them.
This one comes from XXX G Nobama. It is
No Obama, like no.
No Obama. No. Okay.
Like garden gnome.
Yep. That's why the G is capitalized.
Yeah, that's the
favorite
joke.
candy.
Favorite candy.
Favorite candy. I did give you
So
this
I eat
one
a
in
lot of
advance.
candy.
You guys both.
Wait,
eat a lot
that's
of
the one you
candy.
gave in advance?
Mm.
Yeah. I didn't give
really
you.
gotta think on this one.
I didn't give you
So,
any.
but
in
that
advance.
means that implies that you remembered to ask questions that give the questions in advance, but then specifically chose to only give that one about candy.
Yeah.
Carson was like, I really want this 7 minutes of my podcast to suck.
Yeah. So let's get back to the question. What are we doing?
All right, so I'm gonna go Airheads are pretty high up on the list.
Oh yeah, I think Airheads as a company, of my top 10 candies, Airhead brand products are 7 of them.
Yeah, because you're big into Airhead Extreme.
Yeah, the rainbow ones.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a huge candy person. I feel like since moving, I haven't had candy, but before that, I probably had candy every day for 9 months straight.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of my answer while looking at this giant family-sized bag of
It's
M&Ms.
definitely M&Ms.
On my list. Got this going on. So I'm probably gonna go M&Ms. They're just consistent. They're good. No. M&Ms are up there, but I'm a big chocolate boy.
Yeah.
And I like Milky Way a lot.
Milky Way's good.
Milky Way is a perfect
That's a solid for chocolate candy bars. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
the
if I'm going
ratio
chocolate,
of
number
caramel.
one
What?
is Take 5. Take 5.
Take
Oh.
5.
I haven't had one in a
That's
long time,
my
but I don't think I've
favorite.
had a bad experience with them.
Yeah.
Do you guys like paydays? I'm a huge payday person.
It is fine.
That's just I don't know if I remember. I know it's peanuts are in it.
Yeah, just caramel, a log of caramel. rolled in
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I just wasn't sure because when you said you loved it, I just didn't think anyone could possibly love a bunch of peanuts stuck together.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that
I
feels
associate them with good memories. I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot of
It just
Mexican
feels like if you had a
listeners?
cup holder full of caramel and peanuts, a payday is what happens.
I grew up in Mexico, and so my favorite candies are all Mexican candies. So I don't want to say them because I feel like
Now go ahead.
pelonetes are really good. Do you guys do you know what tamarind is?
No.
It's like a tamarind candy.
Okay.
And Carlos Quinto is the best chocolate. I'm gonna buy you some actually because it's easy to get in Chicago.
Are they nuts?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I'll check. But that would be my when I think favorite candy, all of my top 5 are all Mexican.
Gotcha. Yeah. I when I went to Mexico, I remember one candy, and it was an octopus thing. It was squid. It was long. It was stringy. It was like spaghetti. It was
the Lucas hair?
spaghetti is what you're thinking.
yeah. Not an octopus. Octopus spaghetti, same thing.
It's like spaghetti, and it's
Coated
gummy
in
consistency,
sugar.
covered in chili powder and sugar, and then you have a chamoy sauce that you
Yep.
pour over it, and it's like spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we saw a car run over a thing of salsagetti in LA, and it splattered everywhere. It was, I don't know if you remember
I
that.
don't
It
recall.
really made an impression on me. I remember
Yeah,
about
that's
it
the
ever
kind of
since.
very specific detail that feels like it would have been in the film we just talked about.
Something kind of beautiful about it.
It's such a beautiful salsagetti.
So yeah, I guess those are some solid answers.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to this last one, it comes from Lily Rebecca. It is, what's your favorite book to film adaptation? I'm gonna say I don't know if this is the answer, but my go-to right now is Willy Wonka, the first one. Just because think about when that first came out. You know, all you had was the book, and to see that visually, probably that film is still so potent.
Yeah.
With all the colors.
I
and
think it still holds up.
set design. Yeah,
absolutely.
I can imagine seeing that for the first time.
Okay, yeah. That's actually a very good answer, and it's making me uncomfortable that I'm definitely not going to have anywhere near as good an answer as that.
Let's hear it.
No, you first.
I think my go-to would be. Oh, I have 2. I
Okay.
think. Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies.
That's a really
and
good choice.
Amazing book and amazing movie because they both hold up
Yeah.
in really different ways.
Mm-hmm.
They're very different, but they also are both amazing, which I love. And then my second one would be The Shining
Ooh.
because the book
So different.
is. Oh, actually, I said earlier I told myself I was going to say Coraline, so I'm going to give myself 3 answers and take even more options away from Jeff.
Okay, so my issue is that I haven't read a book in about 15 years, and I don't remember. I don't even know what movies are based on books.
Harry Potter.
I'm not gonna say Harry Potter though. That's like the easiest answer you could come up with.
What was I?
All right, so instead I'm gonna Google films based on books, and then
you guys Google a lot on your show, huh?
Yeah, we do.
A lot of dead
because
air.
we're a modern tech savvy podcast.
We put so
unfortunately
many people on
just
Google.
Googled the word Google because I wasn't thinking.
No one heard about Google before you guys.
I'll keep it going.
Can we talk about Coraline?
Yeah, let's bring up Coraline.
I wanted to bring up Coraline because it's so good, and
apparently The Graduate was based on a book. There you go.
Is that your favorite?
Sure.
Back to Coraline. One of the main characters in the movie does not exist in the book, which I think is one of the... Have you read the book?
No.
It's like a...
Wait, yeah, I have. I just forgot about
novel.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, by Neil Gaiman.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, and Wybie.
Yeah, you're right.
The main character in the movie, or the second. The
movie's
character?
called Coraline.
Yeah, it's
not called Wybie.
But how good would it be? It's called Wybie.
I've met so many people that look just like. Let's move on.
You mean you look? No, just move on. And I think he's such a good character for the movie. I think the book is a 10. I think the movie's a 9. But I think it's obviously a really good movie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rip this out again. I keep hitting it.
Oh yeah, I need to fix that.
Yeah, this is a rat's nest.
Okay, well, hey, you know what? Let's move on.
Yeah, Coraline, Jurassic Park, The Shining, which I think is fun because of the T behind it.
Stephen King fucking hates the movie.
Because I love the book and I love the movie, and I love that they hate each other.
Yeah, I want to read 2001, the book, because apparently that's a book.
That's a book too.
Yeah, they Wait, is it? I don't know.
Is everything a book?
I know my friend has a book called 2001: A Space Odyssey, so it's got to be based on the movie.
Yeah, well, what's really tricky, though, is when they make books after the movie and they base the book off the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jimmy
I mean, generally that only happens to children's films.
That joke. That bit.
They did make SpongeBob is based off a cartoon. Or I mean, it is a comic book.
Oh, you know what we haven't talked about? Boss Baby was based on a book.
It was. And you have the book.
I have the book and the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Have you read the book, Jeff?
Yeah, that's the one book I've read in the last 15 years.
It's like a children's photo book.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's a great book if you guys have kids.
Cool.
Or if you are babies and are looking for something to read.
Our intern's basically our kid, so we read it too. Okay. Well, I think that does it for questions. So I guess we'll just move on to the. Here's what me and Jeff were gonna say. Meme of the month is happening this week.
And it's me.
Jaxi was the meme of the month the whole time. Yeah. No, but we're gonna be doing it this week, and it will be coming out at some point this week, exclusively on the YouTube channel, because talking about memes over audio sounds just a little bit worse than what's currently going on. So that's the scoop for everyone waiting for it. Yeah.
For all 6 of you.
All 6 of you, yes. But before we wrap things up, well, I guess we are wrapping things up. We'll read a review to encourage everyone to leave reviews. We love... This is a funny one. We love hearing what you guys have to say about the podcast. So this one comes from comma and question mark exclamation point 8 comma 9.
It's pronounced Thomas.
It's pronounced Hertzfeld. The subject line is read this review, Carscast. Here we are. 5 stars, and it is, this is my second favorite podcast.
That's a good one.
So thank you, comma, and question mark, exclamation point, 8, comma, 9.
I want to know what your favorite podcast is.
Yeah.
Can you
get us a
right
follow?
now?
Yeah. Good thing they left their phone number in the review, so we'll read that one.
Yeah.
I
Actually,
feel bad
it's
that we read...
weird. Their favorite podcast is Freakonomics.
That was such a niche joke.
Yeah.
That's what they hit with like 4 people.
I feel bad. Someone left a really nice, long review.
Just read it as fast as you can.
No,
we're
go. Saving it for next week.
Yeah, we'll do it next week. This isn't the last episode of the podcast, as far as I know.
We cut it off right
unless our sponsor
69.
shut us down.
Yeah.
Stamps.com files a cease and
please
desist.
don't shut us down.
Is that an actual website?
Stamps.com, yeah.
Yeah, they're like one of the biggest podcast sponsors.
Yeah, Stamps.com.
Oh, really?
Yep. He heard us on radio or podcast. Click here.
Well, I did hear it on a podcast.
Yeah.
Can you click there?
It's just not one that they have sanctioned to talk about Stamps.com.
We'd like to finish this off by thanking our lovely patrons.
Well, real quick, last
Okay.
week we had one name that we forgot.
Oh my God, you're right. Do you have the name,
Yes.
Jeff? Okay.
So I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation, so I'm going to pronounce it two ways.
Okay.
It's either Evan Beatty or Evan Beatty.
Yep. Thank you for the donation.
Call him
Towards-
Evan Baby to make up
Evan
for
Baby.
forgetting his name. Evan
Yeah.
Baby.
But awesome. Thank you so much. But yeah, so patrons. If you would like to become a patron and help support us, because we're not sponsored by Stamps.com yet, go to patreon.com/Carscast, where you can get exclusive access to bonus episodes, Q&As, shout-outs at the end of every episode, and much, much more. So this week, we would like to thank Allison Grace, Annabelle Falk, Atticus Merwin, Connor Holmes, Dr. Aneurysm, Eden, Ethan Kell, Holly Edwards. If meme of the month is so good, why is there no meme of the month?
Facts.
Iron Tusk 93, Iva, Josh, Jacob Colness, got ahead of myself, Joshua Kraswicki, Josie Eiler, June Australian Winter, Liv Rob, Lucian Vecina, Martin Deff, Marilee Borslow, Moses Ox, Ready Steady Ernie, Robert Burke, Sergio Palacio, Sophia Arieta, Vegard Strom, Vera S. Whatsamata, What Would the Carscast Film Be About? And Yoki Sasquatch. Thank you guys.
Marilee Borslow? Who's that?
Could be
That's my
anybody.
mom.
She donates $1,000 a month.
She's paying rent, yeah. Both of our. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for the continued support. I guess that's all we have to say. Jeff, do you have anything else? Do you have anything else to plug?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Follow me on Twitter. I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
And I make jokes. And sometimes I tweet jokes about Carson that he makes me delete. So put notifications on and you'll see the good ones. I'm
What's
at
your
Zip
handle?
Off Shorts.
Zip Off Shorts.
Zip Off Shorts.
Zip
So
Off Shorts.
ZIPOFFSHORTS.
Yeah, write that down.
Spelling's hard.
Write that down.
Write
So-
it down. Tattoo it on your arm.
Is that like the pants that you zip off to make them shorts, or is it shorts they start as shorts and you zip them off to be not on
To be
anymore?
shorter shorts. Well, Zip Off Pants was taken. And my previous username that I have had for many years was at Nutthin or Nutthin, because I love Nutthins, the cracker. But I was told by a friend that it sounds like I'm referencing ejaculation. So I had to change it to Zip Off Shorts. And I've been Zip Off Shorts ever since. Yeah, so follow me on there. That's all I have going on in my life right now.
Do you have
Yeah.
any other film projects that you want people to watch?
Just follow me on Twitter. I'll tweet that. I could talk about movie, TV, working in the industry stuff more.
Yeah.
If you guys want me to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You'll be on in the next 68th episode.
Okay, sick.
Yeah. So
It
Jeff.
can do a cycle.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to
so
say?
I think that'll be 2022 that we'll see you again.
Sure. I mean, okay. Jeff, you have anything else to
catch you
say?
on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
I refuse to do this.
Please. Catch you on the flip side.
Can you do your impression of me?
No.
Please.
No. just say it, Jeff.
Flip side.
Okay.
Oh, quick! Do your Will Poulter impression. Go.